The film opens with a brief glimpse of a deserted cave. This mysterious place is deeply tied to the story, and its secrets will only be revealed at the end. We then meet Abby, the main character. She shares a close bond with her sister, Beth. After their mother passed away, the two relied completely on each other, with Beth becoming almost like a mother figure to Abby. Their father is still alive and loves them, but Beth's presence means everything to Abby. Tragedy strikes when Beth is diagnosed with cancer, and doctors say she doesn't have much time left. Abby, desperate to save her, refuses to accept it. She learns of a company testing an experimental treatment that claims to cure cancer, but the cost is far beyond her reach. Determined, Abby decides to take on a dangerous but high-paying job. Though she works as a geologist and everyone warns her against it, she won't back down. The story then shifts to the Georgian Caucasus, a mountainous European region bordered by Russia to the north and the Black Sea to the west. Parts of it remain under Russian occupation. Here, Abby is hired to search for uranium. The work is risky but pays well. Despite months of effort, she finds nothing useful, while Beth's health worsens by the day. One day, Abby suggests to her colleague that they search deeper, but he refuses, reminding her that beyond lies Russian territory where they have no permission. Frustrated, she later receives a call from her father, who is upset with her risky choices. Yet, Abby still needs money, and without any advance payment from the company, she feels cornered. The next day, after another failed search, Abby insists on venturing into the nearby forest. Her colleague warns her about wild animals and refuses to join. Abby, however, demands his gun, declaring she must continue alone. Inside the forest, an eerie sense of dread surrounds her. That's when she notices a strange, black stone lying on the ground. Drawn to it, she picks it up, something unlike anything she's ever seen before. Back at base, Abby secretly studies the stone. Convinced it could be valuable enough to fund Beth's treatment, she hides it from the company. Just then, her father calls again, saying Beth is in critical condition. Abby decides she must return home immediately. She tells her colleague she may not come back, then boards a helicopter leaving the area. As they fly over Ossetia, the pilot recalls how he once lived there with his family before Russian forces took control 15 years ago. Moments later, Abby spots something strange in the sky, a formation that looks like a flock of birds, but isn't. The object collides with the helicopter, disabling its systems and causing a crash. When Abby regains consciousness, she finds herself injured. One pilot has already died, while the other is badly wounded. She tries to help him by pressing on his wounds, then attempts to call for help on the radio. But it's broken. Stranded in a desolate area, Abby realizes rescue is unlikely, and fear begins to set in. Abby studies the map and sees that the nearest road is about 60 kilometers away, but reaching it won't be easy. She tends to the injured pilot as best she can and lights a fire, hoping someone might see it. The night passes without help. By morning, the second pilot has also died, leaving Abby panicked and alone. Realizing she can't survive by staying put, she gathers supplies from the wreckage, including a gun, determined to reach Beth at any cost. As she sets off, Abby hears static. Following the sound, she discovers a working walkie-talkie among the pilot's belongings. It still carries faint signals. Using the helicopter's battery, she charges it and soon hears a voice. John, another crash survivor. Relieved, Abby listens as he explains that he too has gone down somewhere in the area. He describes a nearby lake surrounded by dense forest, but says his leg is pinned and he has lost sensation in parts of his body. His long-range antenna is broken, making rescue impossible unless someone reaches him. Abby checks the map and finds a lake 30 kilometers north. She decides to head there, hoping to use John's radio for help. John warns her against it, insisting she should keep moving south instead. Going north is dangerous, and he doubts his equipment will even work. But Abby chooses to risk it. South would take too long, and she needs to get back to Beth. The terrain is harsh and mountainous, slowing her progress. John keeps talking to her over the radio, asking questions. When she reveals she's a geologist, he quickly guesses she must be searching for uranium, something that surprises her. She then opens up about Beth's illness. John, a pilot himself, hints he may have been on some kind of mission, though he doesn't explain much. As night falls, Abby builds a small shelter to rest. Once again, she examines the strange black stone. To her shock, it shifts and changes form in her hand, as though alive, or perhaps not a stone at all, but some kind of advanced technology. The discovery terrifies her. Meanwhile, John's calmness remains unsettling. Despite being trapped and injured in a remote wilderness, he speaks as if he feels no fear of death. The next morning, Abby continues her grueling trek. Exhaustion and John's constant chatter begin to wear her down. At one point, she snaps at him, saying the radio battery will drain if he keeps talking nonstop. That day, Abby faced a new challenge. She had to climb a steep cliff. At one point, the climb became very difficult, and she told John. He said if she wanted to turn back, he would understand. He reminded her that she had tried and said he hoped her sister would recover. But when Abby replied that Beth was not getting better, John told her she couldn't save everyone. This angered Abby. She snapped that she didn't need advice right now, she just needed to keep moving. John answered calmly, telling her to do whatever she thought was right. Now Abby had to face the dangerous climb ahead, knowing it was going to be extremely difficult. While climbing, Abby suddenly heard John say something strange. "You're my favorite." It felt odd, but after that, he went silent. Abby didn't pay much attention and kept climbing. Soon, her knife slipped and fell. She needed something sharp for support, and then remembered the mysterious stone she could reshape. She changed its form, fixed it into a hole, and used it to pull herself up. She even shaped it into a rope, which she carried along as she climbed higher. Abby's journey wasn't described dramatically, but it was truly dangerous. Her life could have ended at any moment. Finally, she reached the top of the mountain. The strange stone had already surprised her, but she had no time to stop. Looking through her binoculars, she once again caught sight of the dark objects, and in the distance, she clearly saw a military base. Before moving forward, she lit a fire and marked an arrow on the ground so that if anyone came searching, they would know where she had gone. But as she started climbing back down, John contacted her again. He warned that she was heading into enemy territory, and if she entered, she would be shot on sight. John told her no help would come from that direction. Hearing this, Abby grew very afraid. Suddenly, her foot slipped and she tumbled down, badly injuring her leg. She tied it tightly with cloth and kept moving. By evening, she saw a village ahead. Snow was falling, the cold was harsh, and Abby desperately needed help. But the village was completely abandoned. She entered one of the houses to spend the night. Hungry, she found some food, but it was spoiled. That night, she treated her injured leg and gave herself a dose of morphine. The next morning, when Abby woke up, she heard a sound. She stepped outside and saw a Russian soldier nearby. Frightened, she quickly hid. The soldier grew suspicious and entered the house to search. Abby had a gun, and as soon as he came inside, she aimed at him. Fear took over, and she shot him in the leg, even though he hadn't meant to harm her. She took his rifle and demanded his bag. To her surprise, inside was the same kind of strange stone she already carried. Then, through the soldier's walkie-talkie, a man named Ivan spoke. Abby realized that Ivan and John were the same person, changing names while talking to them. Somehow, it was all connected to the stones. Hearing John's voice, Abby angrily asked who he really was, but he didn't answer, so she threw the radio away. She then helped the wounded soldier and told him he must take her to the base if he wanted her help. The soldier, who had been lost while searching for shelter, agreed. Even John was also in contact with him, though his true intentions were still unclear. They couldn't understand each other's language, but both knew they needed each other. According to Abby, their path now led to the lake. Abby was helping the soldier walk, though every step caused him pain. She might not have shot him at all, but John had planted fear in her mind about the Russians. At one point, when they stopped to rest, Abby angrily threw the stone away. She then told the soldier they had to keep moving. They pushed forward, but soon the ice beneath them weakened, and the soldier fell into the water. Hearing his cries, Abby rushed to help, but she too slipped into a pit. Somehow, she managed to pull herself out, calling desperately for help, but no one came. Soaked and freezing, Abby removed her wet clothes, trying to warm herself. Just then, she heard John's voice again on the radio. Furious, she pulled out the battery and threw it away, but strangely, he was still able to speak to her. Eventually, Abby drifted into sleep. She dreamed of moments she had spent with her sister. When she woke, she heard the sound of a helicopter. Gathering her strength, she stood and walked into the forest, believing rescuers might have arrived. But Abby was already too weak. As she pushed on, she suddenly fell into a cave, the very same place shown at the beginning of the film. There was a hot spring, and Abby's body was floating in it. Then we see a corpse close to her. It was completely decayed. It was the body of a soldier, and on his badge, the name John was written. Then the particles of the stone started sticking to Abby's body. Abby lost consciousness, and when she woke up, she was in a strange place where the same stones were floating around her. Then she heard John's voice, saying how 65 years ago he too had been trapped in this place, and that was how he found it. Abby also understood that the crash was not an accident. It was done intentionally. These stones were either advanced alien technology or some advanced life form. They had been on Earth for a long time, and either they were imprisoned here or they were living here by choice, but they needed humans. But unlike the aliens shown in other films, they were not so evil. They did not forcibly take over human bodies, but they were beyond human understanding. John had surrendered himself to them. Abby saw his body made from the stones. He said that he had been dying, but then he gave them everything and he survived. He said, "I am a survivor, like you." But he said that inside this complex system, he had included himself. And now Abby was also being given a chance. But Abby refused. She said that she did not want to be a part of all this. She wanted to go home. And then she saw her home, her sister, and everything was very good, like a perfect life. But this was not real. It was only an artificial world created by that advanced system, and Abby knew it. Still, she met her sister and spoke from her heart. In the end, what she had not accepted until now, the acceptance of death, she finally understood that death is also a part of life. The alien life form tried hard to make Abby surrender willingly, but Abby did not agree, and she opened the door of her home. In a metaphorical way, this alien concept also fits into the story, and besides that, it is very interesting, so you can see it from whichever perspective you want. When the door opened, she walked into a snowstorm, and then flashes were shown, which gave the impression that Abby had been rescued. Then, Abby opened her eyes in an apartment. It was the home of Sergei, her college friend. He told her that she had been rescued, but Abby still wanted to go back to her home, to her sister. The next day, she returned home. Her sister was taking her final breaths, and in those last moments, Abby and their father were with her. The film ended with this emotional scene. In my opinion, this is a very beautiful film. The balance between sci-fi elements and emotional drama is so strong that both leave a deep impact on the audience. About the mysterious stones, you can create many theories, but I prefer to see this film as Abby's denial of death and how she eventually changes, accepting the truth in the end. I hope we explained this story well and that you liked it.